What's going on, everybody? Welcome on into this edition of War Chant TV. We're live. It's the warchant.com recruiting call-in show with Michael Langston, recruiting analyst for War Chant and Rivals.com. Use the promo code on the bottom of your screen to sign up for 30 free days of access. You can always ask Michael questions all the time over on the PRB. We're going to keep things a little bit tighter today. Lots to talk about in terms of the Miami game over on the website. Recruiting also on everybody's mind. Be sure to hit the subscribe button here on YouTube. Hit the little bell so you get notifications whenever we do these shows and they go live. What else can they do, Michael?
Hit that lovely like button.
That is
we
right.
always like that. That makes us feel good. That makes us feel appreciated.
All right, man. Well, let's waste little time then. Let's get right after. We already have a caller in the queue. Let's get right on to it here.
Okay.
Welcome on into the warchant.com recruiting call-in show with Michael Langston. Who's this and where are you calling us from?
It's Gator Kirk from Virginia Beach. What's up, Michael? What's up, Aslan? Hey, this time's a lot better for me than that 9:05 time.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Cool. Welcome aboard, G. What's on your mind?
All right. So, it being rivalry weekend, so what are the recruits looking for this weekend, even if we're not victorious, but the game is close?
That's a good question, Kirk. And, I kind of touched on that earlier this week is in a lot of people, fans think, it's just W's, it's about a W. But I think the recruits just want to see growth and consistency. I mean, that's kind of what they want to see. You don't have to go out there and win the game to make an impact in recruiting for FSU. We saw that last year with North Carolina. North Carolina lost 6 games last year. But what's the one constant that people remember? Their performance against Clemson, almost beating Clemson. Probably should have beaten. So I think when you have this stage, people just want to see you perform. And they want to see some growth as far as on the defensive side of the ball. It's like, okay, we didn't see much pass rush in the last game. Let's see the exotic ways that Fuller's going to find a way to get pressure on Dyree King. They want to see that on the defensive side of the ball. And then on offense, they want to see you get your playmakers involved. We saw Cam McDonald get 1 catch, but then he never was targeted or seemed to be targeted that much for the rest of the game. So I think recruits want to see more consistency of, getting your playmakers the ball, just more consistency and just some growth. That's the word I would use mostly in this team as far as this weekend is growth, seeing an obvious growth as far as from that 1 week to the next week, something they can cling on to, something they can grasp onto. And if you show growth, that's a solid impact as far as recruiting. That's certainly going to give them a solid impact in recruiting. That's really the key for them this weekend.
All right, I appreciate that. I always appreciate all your advice and your knowledge. It always helps all the Noel fans out there. I'll make it brief today. So, eating Zaxby's, hit that thumbs up button. Join War Chant if you're not a member already, because you're only getting 5% of the content here. And as always, go Noels and let's stomp the living mess out of those Canes.
That's right.
Have a great evening.
There you go, Kirk.
Give it up, man. Give it up, man.
We appreciate it. Now, before we get to the questions, because I know there's going to be a lot of questions in there, as I promised on the message board, I'm going to give you guys kind of an update on some decisions that are coming up. Since this is going to be a shortened version, I want to go ahead and get these out of the way. I'll go through a few of them that I know offhand, just in checking my sources. I will say, first one is offensive lineman Roderick Orr. Probably, I think, deciding, if I'm not mistaken, on Friday. I feel good about the chance. I think it's going to be FSU. I think FSU looks good for offensive tackle Roderick Orr. So that's one that certainly thinks coming down the pike. I think another one is, and I've talked about this kid a while, is defensive lineman Chambray Jackson. I've heard, I haven't had a set date. Somebody tell me the exact date, but I've heard in the next week or so, they're expecting him to make a decision. That's kind of mixes in what Chambray's told us from the start, where he wants to do it mid-season. So that's, I think that's coming up. I also feel good about FSU's chances there. I think the choice will be FSU. I think Alabama's the main competition, but I don't think anybody is pushing harder for FSU or has the relationship that FSU has with Chambray, who could come in as a defensive tackle or a defensive end. That's subject to you'll find out later. But I do think they sit in a pretty good spot there. Running back Jalen Knight has said he's going to announce on October 10th. That's the one I don't know. I'm still checking on. I know FSU, South Carolina, Florida seem to be the teams that I've heard the most with his recruitment. Jalen's been injured a little bit. I think he has an ankle injury, so I don't think he played last week. But he's a guy I'm going to check more on to see, kind of where FSU feels on that one. But definitely heavily in the mix for Jalen White. I'm looking to see one, if he's still going to do it on the 10th, because sometimes these decision things change, and also just see kind of the feel of who stands out. I think Catravion Hargrove is probably the guy that they're pushing the hardest for, or the most likely at this stage for FSU out of Louisiana. So that's something to consider. I think they're only going to take one back if they can. If he fits everything they're looking for, I can see them only taking one. And then I think one of the other last ones would be tight end River Helms. Love this kid. This kid has blown me away just watching, his highlights and videos of what in his game film for what he's done this year. He's supposed to, I think, announce October 11th. He's pinned when he got an offer from FSU. He pinned it. I'm not ready to make a forecast 100% yet, but I'm getting really close. But I would lean towards FSU in that one. I hear more about Georgia Tech, Louisville, Central Florida are some of the main teams that I hear the most in his recruitment. Now, if they did land him, he would definitely be the best receiving type of tight end they have. Currently have Cody Gross, Jackson West are both in there. Jackson's kind of a mixture of receiving and blocking, and then Gross is more of a pure blocker. But Helms is just a guy they use all over the field. This kid is used like a receiver in their offense. FSU's pushed extremely hard for this one. They want this one bad. They want to get it done. He's a guy that they have not relented as far as the attention in this class, and he's a guy that could extremely help them early on as far as having a receiving tight end that could really stretch the field in this offense, and seems to be a perfect fit if you look at the way Norvell uses his receiving tight ends in this offense. I think he would be a guy that certainly would fit for them out of Lester, Alabama, plays for West Limestone. People that follow the Friday Night Rewind that we do every week, I mean, the kid had a 50-yard punt return. I mean, how many tight ends do punt returns and score touchdowns? So it kind of tells you just how athletic and special this kid is. So those are some of the ones to watch out for as far as some updates. Now, if I missed somebody and you have somebody on mind, feel free, guys, call in or ask us questions. Let me know who you have in mind as far as questions. I'll throw a few more things as far as that goes on the website today when I answer questions and I get into that. And then the other thing, finally, before I close it out, as far as the updates portion is, had 2 Cali visitors today, or I should say this week, because they visited Tuesday and Wednesday. One is 2022 quarterback A.J. Duffy, and the other is 4-star tight end Jack Peterson. Both of them had a tremendous visit at FSU. Quarterback Duffy, I think they really nailed it with this visit, even though I shouldn't say they, because it's basically a visit on their own, but he really connected, I guess, with the visit itself, the city itself. He really talked to me about how Tallahassee is a lot like his town or where he's from, big college town. Even went to Jim and Mills. Sure, Aslan appreciate that. Went to Jim and Mills barbecue. He loved it. He got a chance to talk to the owner. The owner talked to him for almost an hour. Just all FSU fans in there. Gave a really good college field town. So the fans did their part. You guys did a good job, even if you did it by accident. I think he really connected with this staff. He talked about how different and unique it was compared to. He visited Miami and Florida, but he compared FSU, saying it's different and unique in a good way. So I think they did it all, and I think they're all in as far as pushing for him. Now, people ask, what does that mean to Nico Martial, who they lead for? I don't think it really impacts anything. They want one quarterback. Maybe they might take 2, but I think either way is kind of first come, first serve with this quarterback situation with 2022. I think they like both Duffy and Martial, so I don't think it's really a preference one way or the other. I think they'll take whatever one they can get. I think they're high on both of those guys, but I think it comes down to just first come, first serve. So they knocked it. I think the visit went even better than probably they expected. They really bragged about the bricks at Florida State. Just, I've never seen that many bricks in the stadium, and raved about that stuff, but called it unique, and just how Duffy said several times how it felt like home. And usually when recruits on their first visit say feeling like home, that's a pretty good sign. So I think they did some good things as far as this visit goes. And then with tight end Peterson, I think that really comes down to the offer. He hasn't technically been offered yet. I think it's coming soon. I think he connects well with Norvell. The family interesting thing was Norvell was kind of the main recruiter for Peterson, even though Chris Thompson's very involved as well. But I thought that was kind of interesting that he deals with Norvell so much. He's very aware of what Norvell does with tight ends. That's attracted him a lot. I think if they offer, certainly they're going to be a team that's high on the list. I know people think Stanford is the automatic place that he ends up, but I asked Jack about that, and Jack's like, I don't have any leaders to be straightforward about, like, hey, I don't know yet. They both definitely want to see more of FSU when they open things up, whenever that happens. I think they're going to immediately come back to FSU, set something up so they can get an in-depth look at FSU. But certainly they definitely got a nice taste of FSU, even if it is a small taste and visiting on your own. So that's kind of a wrap up of updates, guys that are going to commit, and then the visitors today. So I expect more guys to take more visits. They're coming out and visiting on their own, even commits and targets. Already listed October 17th that Hunter Washington's coming over. He's going to visit with a few 2022 prospects too. So I think you'll see a lot more of uncommitted guys, even offensive lineman. Amarius Mims, he's another one, number one tackle in the country. I think he's probably a guy that you're going to see on campus that will visit on his own. Don't be surprised if he shows up for like a game just as a fan to take in, what FSU's doing, to see them in person. So I think there's going to be several, as the NCAA laid down, that there's going to be a dead period extended through the whole year until January. So I think you're going to see more and more kids visiting FSU on your own. That'll kind of tell you too just how serious some of these uncommitted targets are. So that's kind of a wrap with that. Aslan, I'm going to let you take over from there and then fire away the questions. So hopefully that lets people soak in all that info.
For sure, man. That's a heck of a wrap up right there, man. Plenty more also at warchant.com, believe it or not. Ray Pereira was asking about the running back you mentioned earlier from Travion Hargrove. Would you say he's underrated as a 3-star?
Yeah, I think he's a low 4-star when I look at him, Ray. That's what I see in him. They want an explosive speed guy that can do a lot of different things. I think Hargrove fits that. Very good receiver, very explosive between the hashes. Certainly a guy that I think eventually will be a 4-star. So people get so caught up in the 3-star, 4-star. Like I've said all along, if you're a high 3-star or you're a low 4-star, they're basically pretty much the same. I've known better high 3-stars and than low 4-stars, but this kid kind of fits what they want. I think he's the guy that's the most realistic guy. Got some big wheels. He's got the speed to certainly take it the distance anytime he touches the ball. And he's a guy that I know David Johnson has been pushing for a while. So I think low 4-star.
Let's see what else we got here. You mentioned AJ Duffy already. Tyler Blevins with a follow-up on Sean Jackson. Would you say he's more of a pure speed rusher or edge setter, Michael?
Definitely pure speed rusher, even for that size at 200. I think he's 252. Last time he said he was 252. Might be a little lower than that now that the season started. I don't know. But he's more of a speed guy. If you watch his film, he gets off the edge very quickly. Very good downhill runner and chasing down the ball, whether it's a sack or whether it's a pursuing the ball carrier. He showed his speed kind of last week when he returned a punt block for a touchdown on the first game of the year for 43 yards. it just tells you about his athletic, and he's not just a Dennis Briggs type where a guy that's do well against the run and edge setter, as the person said. But I think he's a guy that can really get after the quarterback. He's a guy that I've called the most important guy in this class for FSU, because you need one. If you do keep him at defensive end, that means you keep you finished pretty much with your defensive ends. That means you would have 3. You're looking pretty good at that position. If he does eventually grow into a defensive tackle, you're talking about getting the first defensive tackle in your class, and that's a big deal because that might push other guys to possibly jump on board. Guys like Christopher Thomas, who I'm very high on out of Dunbar High School. I love that kid. I think there's a good chance of a flip there. I've said that from the start for months and months advance, but I think it would kind of get the ball rolling either way. So that's why I call Chambray, the most important. Obviously, if he pulled out a miracle and got Mary Smims, certainly that would be the biggest, but I'm talking about more realistic right now look at things. So that's kind of where it stands with, Chambray.
All right, right on. Let's go to the phone lines. They're open, 850-805-5911. Let's go ahead and grab our second caller of the day. Welcome on into the show. It's the WarChant.com recruiting call-in show with Michael Langston. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
It's Quentin J calling from Tampa.
Quentin or Quentin?
It's Quentin, but it's Quint. Quint.
All right.
E-N-T, Quint.
All right, man. I like
calling
it.
from Tampa.
Right on. 813 in the house. How you doing, man?
What's up? All right. Hey, I got it's not about recruiting, but kind of about recruiting.
Okay.
About the story about the quarterback situation as Ira and I guess Michael did, or Gene and Michael did.
Okay.
2015 recruiting when they got Eric Golson in.
Mm-hmm.
That Georgia Golson was having a pretty decent season until he got hurt against Georgia Tech. He had 11 touchdowns and 3 picks. He was completing 67% of his passes.
Okay.
But people keep saying, like, from him to Hawkman and Blackman, but remember DeAndre Francois and DeAndre Johnson came in the same class, right?
Correct.
So I'm trying me personally, I thought that DeAndre Johnson would have been the man because he came in early and he had that spring. He did a pretty good job in the spring game, but unfortunately, what happened, he got kicked out of school. But,
right.
I think people are too hard on Blackman. The man been through a lot. He came in as a true freshman to start, so he beat out whoever was here to even start after Francois got hurt. And
okay.
then in 18, when DeAndre was the quarterback and he ain't do good, everybody was rooting for Blackman to start. The one game he did start, he did pretty well. And last year, I agree he is erratic. He hold on to the ball for too long, but I think his confidence is shook. But I just want I just want to know your opinion, and I just hang up and listen.
Okay. Well,
thanks, Quint.
Thanks, Quint. Certainly a lot of impact there. I understand I understand people like that feel the same way as Quint. Now, majority of them feel kind of the opposite way with James Blackman, but I think I realize is fans are going to be emotional, and they've had to deal with this for 3 years with James Blackman, where things seem to fall apart. Things seem that when something goes bad, it just kind of continues over. So, yes, he's the most veteran guy they have. He's the guy that knows the checks. He knows the offense. He knows what they're supposed to do. He can make some throws that you're like, wow, that's impressive. And then something bad happens, and it seems to go all downhill from there. So, that's kind of my thought on it. Certainly, I've shared my opinion as far as on the board about what I would do, but I understand what position FSU's in. That, like, if Tate's not ready as far as physically because they're afraid of him getting just the crap kicked out of him with the offensive line, then I understand that. And then with Jordan Trask, we don't know what he's going to bring as a thrower. So you want to see more of that. So if I was picking a pick, I'd say, yeah, I'd start off with Jordan Travis as that was me. But that's just me. because I've seen this happen too frequently with the way things fall apart with James. You mentioned DeAndre Johnson. There's a lot there. I have a special place in my heart for that kid. He's a really good kid that had one night of just bad decision making. And yeah, you could be right. This could be a moot point if he doesn't do that. DeAndre Johnson might have been their quarterback for a long time. He was doing really good in the spring. Jimbo loved him. All this stuff certainly would be a good fit. And my heart broke for DeAndre just on the situation that happened, because I'm telling you, I know this kid really well. This kid's never done anything like that. There was no leading things or flags growing up when this kid was. I mean, he was a great leader and everything. So that's what was disappointing about it. Obviously, everyone knows with Francois what happened there. But quarterbacks is a funky thing. But you just got to get the right guys that you feel comfortable with. That comes down to. You look at the three guys that they're going to have next year: Chuba Purdy, Tate Rodemaker, and Luke Altmaier coming in. That's going to be a really good competition. I personally think this is going to be the last hurrah for James Blackman, because I think once those guys get there, one of those guys I think is going to win the job. I just can't see him being the guy after a year. We already hear exciting things about Chuba Purdy. So that's kind of my take on the football side of things.
There we go. All right. Back to recruiting. I mean, you mentioned Chambray might be the most important recruit. Would you also say he's got will he be the biggest impact? Lee DeLeon, which recruit has the greatest potential to be a huge impact?
That's a good question. You certainly have to look at whoever they get, the defensive end. I think Chambray is going to have a really good chance, because they don't have a lot of guys that can get up to quarterback. That's been the frustration. Certainly, Kando's had a good camp, but that's just been the struggle, that they can't get guys that can get the quarterback. I think Chambray can do that. That's what he does. One-on-one battles, he wins those. He's very quick. He's going to offer a lot as far as at that position. I think Hunter Washington's another one at defensive back, and Kevin Knowles. I think both of those guys are going to come in and have a chance to, certainly make an impact in whether it's safety, corner, whatnot. I think they have the type of skill that fits what Fuller's looking for in this defense. So certainly those guys. I mentioned them briefly a few minutes ago. Luke Altmaier, you have to consider him as far as one of the huge impacts, because he's going to be battling for that job. So everyone's seen the highlights of what Luke does. I mean, Luke is certainly fits everything they look for. And I think even if you break down everything, I think him and when you look at Chuba Purdy, Luke Altmaier, Tate Rodemaker, the one I think all these guys have in common is accuracy, ball placement. These guys can sling it. They can run the offense, know how to get the ball in their hands. So it's going to be an interesting battle. So I think you'd have to throw in Luke in there as well.
Okay. I mean, you got to touch upon it. It's a rivalry week. 21 asks, will the Noles lose recruits if they lose to Miami badly?
That will not be the trend you want to start. As far as that's the one thing, like I said, you have to have growth in this game. So will they lose recruits the next day? Probably not. But will it start to trend that way, that they're going to lose some guys if they continue to do that in a consistent pattern? Yes, 21, they will lose recruits. I know, several commits that they love FSU. Everything clicks well. They know that's the place they want to be. But at the same time, you start losing and there's a pattern of it. Nobody just wants to come in there if they don't see growth. If they see growth, then you're good. So I think it's more about just the growth and showing a difference of that first week in how you're growing, because that's what happened with North Carolina and Miami at stretches, or even Tennessee at stretches with their seasons. You have to show them something that they can at least grasp onto. With the Miami team, they lost some bad teams last year, but at the same time, they played Florida very tight, even though it was a very sloppy game, led some of that game. So you show signs of growth, and that's what kids are looking for. Show signs of excitement, growth, and once kids see that, they can deal with the losing. But if you go out there and you look bad like every week, yes, it's going to have an impact where you're going to eventually, start losing some guys.
Wow. Doubling back to Luke Altmaier, Roman Gilliard asked, do you think Luke will end up as a 5-star? Right now, is we look at him on Rivals right now. He's a
237's nationally ranked. No, I don't think he'll be a 5-star. Obviously, if he plays in the All-Star game, tears it up. We've seen guys jump all the way up from where the point that Luke's at to a 5-star stats. I would say right now, Rivals 100 is the target place that I'm looking for Luke right now. I mean, that's kind of where I'm looking for. That's the place I think he can end up. I think 5-star is too much of a uncertainty or even reach. You just don't where things are at right now. I think he's doing everything he could do during the season. I think he's looked phenomenal so far. I think he's doing what you need to do to move up the rankings. He's definitely making an impression. He's definitely improved a lot with his speed as far as running, his mobility. His decision making has been better as far as compared to last year. Now, if he continues to show that all year and then he shows it in the All-Star game, yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. But I would say the likelihood, Roman, is to follow is the Rivals 100. That's where I'm looking at him because I think he's a Rivals 100 type of a player. And I think he will eventually, good chance he will get there. So that's kind of where I'm at with him on this ranking.
All right. We had a question about Florida State's chances with Jalen White. You touched on it earlier.
Right.
Adrian Ace Stacy asking, what running backs do you see in Florida State signing?
Right. So right now, I'd say Travion Hargrove without knowing anything except what I know. I think he's the main guy that I would say. I think Jalen White's a possibility, but as I said, I got to look more into that. I don't know. But Hargrove would be the guy because he can do a little bit of what everything this staff's looking for. Explosive speed, run between the hashes, very good with all those things. I think it's possible they could take another running back. But I think if they get one guy that they're totally sold on, which I think right now I'd lean towards Hargrove, that will be the guy.
Ronnie Vitalero Jr. asking, will Chuba be ready next week? There's actually a note on that over on warchant.com.
Yeah.
On the Tribal Council, so you should head over there.
Yeah, Gene's all over that. Go to our Tribal Council on warchant.com. Gene has a Chuba nugget on there. He talks about him, so he answers that question. Really, we aren't going to know until, I guess for sure officially into the game, but I'm going to give it away. I'll let you check it out and just take a look at it.
Well, William McMillan asked about Payson.
He hasn't committed yet, William, so he's not still committed because he hasn't committed yet. I think thanks for bringing him up. I forgot to mention him as far as the others. Nothing's changed as far as how I feel. I feel very good. I think he's going to, whenever he does make a decision, it's going to be FSU. I feel strongly that my strength and my feeling on Payson and the chances there have not diminished. I still think he's going to end up in FSU's class at this moment.
Okay. All right, folks. I got to wrap things up because I got some other stuff to do for the site, not for pleasure or anything like that. But do head over to the PRB, the Premium Recruiting Board. There's about a dozen questions on the board right now for Michael. He'll be answering questions for the remainder of the evening probably and throughout tomorrow as well. So as you can see, lots of stuff. Question about Amarius Mims, Roderick Orr.
Mm-hmm.
The NCAA is going to allow prospects to take visits this fall. All these sort of things Michael will be touching on. And I guess just lastly, Michael, you mentioned kind of at the beginning, but just how important is it to show progress, show growth on Saturday night, 7:30 against Miami to help start building some traction for recruiting?
I think it's big just because this is a good stage for them. You can go in there if offense, just show more consistency of moving down the field, get in a rhythm. I mean, that's kind of what recruits look for, getting a rhythm and really show some fight and show some attitude when you play this game and understanding how big this game is. And like I said, everyone's predicting them to lose. We get that. But what you want to see is progress and growth and growth from what you saw the previous game. Big time change as far as you need to get your targets the ball, getting Terry the ball, getting Helton the ball more, getting maybe Corbin more involved. That kind of stuff that's going to catch recruits' attention. Obviously, more consistent play at the quarterback is a big deal. And then on defense, just getting pressure on the quarterback and seeing more out of this linebacker group. I think Emmett Rice came forward. It's like, look, we didn't play to the standard. We need to play to standard. So I think you need to see improved play. You just need to see growth and development. That's going to have a dramatic effect on recruiting. As simple as that sounds, guys, I know even if they win or lose, it does. The facts are they want to see growth. So if they show those things, it's going to be a positive in recruiting. Oh.
Willie Johnson, what's going on? I mean, like, the show's over. I got some stuff going on here, and then you come off the top rope. Come off the top rope.
Big Willie. We appreciate it, Willie. Thank you so much, and we appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I had to run an update. I'm trying to play the horn, but the horn won't play because I guess my software update made everything all wonky. Willie, if you got a question, man, I'm gonna stick around. Gary Kirk says it best. Look at Willie Johnson at the buzzer, man. If there's something on mind, man, I feel really bad if I just walked away from you right now. Meanwhile, Jeff Barbo, any chance we get Ira to take over Wake Up War Chat? Probably not. Sorry, man. Sorry, Jeff. Willie, where are you at, man? Good grief. We did, let's see here. 7 Toms is going to ask it on the board, but maybe we'll give Willie a minute or two if he wants to get his thoughts. Anything new with Terrion Arnold? Obviously, he said he wanted to see dogs. I don't think he saw a lot of dogs.
No, he didn't see a lot of dogs. He saw a lot of interceptions, mostly by Asante Samuel. But no, I don't think he saw anything or what he was looking for in that first game, which is why this game is so important. Show a different attitude. Show that attitude that Terrion's talking about, which is, play physically. Impose your will in the trenches. Show that fight that he's looking for. Show that attitude. That's the one thing I'd like to see more of, is that attitude, just on the way they play and physicality and toughness and excitement, and want to see more energy than what you saw last Saturday. I understand they haven't played a game in a while, but that's kind of what I want to see, and I think that's what Terrion Arnold wants to see. As far as the recruitment, it's still pretty open still. Georgia, Alabama, those are Florida. Those are the main teams. I think Florida State's right there behind those guys, but this is where it comes down to. These are games that can really shift an opinion of a recruit, and Terrion was certainly fall into that category. I think just this is a big stage, and we'll just have to see if they can capitalize on it.
I think I figured it out. Let's see if I fixed it. Yeah. Willie Johnson, let's go, man.
Horns ablazing.
All right, yeah, there we go. Everybody check it out. I'm going to also go record the podcast, Jeff. So I hope you do tune in. Download it. It's available on iTunes or wherever podcasts are found. I think you'll enjoy it.
Maybe Aslan will have me on Wake Up War Chant one day for you guys.
We should. Look Ray. Ray, let me live, man. Let me live, Ray. Ray, I'm trying to live, man. You're keeping me around too long, man. Ray Prayer, man. Always appreciate it. Yeah, we got to call him the Q too, man. You guys are going to keep me here all night, aren't you, man? Let's go. Let's make a phone call. We can't make people wait all that long. Welcome on into the show. It's Wake Up War Chant presented by it's not Wake Up War Chant. Actually, it's a WarChant.com call-in show. I got my mind on something else. What's going on? Who's this? Where are you calling us from?
This is Cedric from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Fort Wayne, Indiana. All right. There we go. What's up,
Cedric?
Yeah, I'm a Knowles fan, though, even though I'm in the Hoosier State. I just had a question about Blackman. Just not singling them out, but if he's going to be able to get these receivers the ball, because Miami have some gaps where he can get it to them, and I think they got an okay defense, but I've seen it in the Louisville game. There's some chances where they can score.
Yeah, they're definitely suspect at corner. I mean, they would probably tell you that, Cedric. I mean, it's shown up in the Louisville game. Guys were wide open. A lot of big plays for the receivers for Louisville. Obviously, as well as they've struggled to stop the running games. UAB ran the ball pretty well on the first week, and then we saw that again with Louisville running the ball pretty well. So, yeah, there is some holes, and you're exactly right. You do have to find a way to get your receivers the ball. Like, there's no way Keyshawn Helton should be targeted one time in a game. There's no way Tamarian Terry, even though he had a big drop for a touchdown in the Georgia Tech game, there's no way he should be targeted, only 5 or 6 times. mean, those guys have to get the ball. So yes, that there needs to be an upstick in that. I agree with you. So yeah, that's definitely that has to change regardless of who's playing quarterback, whether it's Blackman, Travis, Tate, Treble, whoever. Whoever comes in there has to get their playmakers the ball to give them a chance.
Oh, sorry, I had him muted. I apologize, Cedric. I'm coming back to you. Let me unmute you. There's a little static going on. I didn't want that to interfere with it, man. You got anything else on your mind, Ced?
That was it. Go Noles.
That's right, man. Enjoy it, man. 7:30, Miami, going down. Shock the world. Shock the world, everybody. Let's go. Hopefully. Let's see. Ray asking, last question for Michael. Actually, first up, before that, apparently Jay Williams entered into the transfer portal. I should confirm that before I say it live over the web. Let's talk to Ray's question, though, Michael. What commit or commits are the biggest recruiters for this class, do you think?
I would definitely say certainly Joshua Burrell does a very good job. He's been one of their best. Luke Altemar's been a very solid recruiting guy for them. I think those two certainly just jump out to me as far as guy. Hunter Washington has done a really good job, I think, helping FSU get commits. He's even bringing some kids down from the 2022 class to go with him on a visit. So he's working the angles a lot in Texas. He's working on a lot of kids that are committed to other schools. So I think those three really jump out to me as far as just really pushing for this class.
All right, that's always good. You said Luke Altmaier, right?
Yeah, I did.
That's always a good thing when the quarterback is leading the charge. That's a good thing. And checking it out right now over on the Rivals.com Twitter feed. Jay Williams. Actually, I'm in the wrong window. Let me get over to the right window here. has gone ahead. Actually, I'm clearly copying the wrong link, but he has entered himself in the portal. Man, I don't want to be hard on the kid or anything like that, but it was a reach, man. They need all the help they could possibly get on the offensive line, right, Michael? And it just sometimes
that was a massive reach. Just, I mean, they wanted JUCO. They wanted a guy that could come in there and help them early. It was a attacker recruit. Just wasn't a guy that really just you felt like was going to come in there and play. We saw him in the spring game. Or in the spring, we saw when they started practice and they had a scrimmage, we saw Josh Griffiths just whip him. I mean, a freshman, true freshman, defensive end, come in there and just whip him. There's nothing against Josh, but offensive lineman, JUCO guys shouldn't be getting whipped like that. So I just think he was out of his element, and hopefully good luck wherever he goes. I mean, you want him to hopefully get to the right place. But yeah, I don't think that one's going to work for a while. And I think it was kind of the writing was on the wall on that one.
And before everybody asks, just because he's in the portal doesn't mean they can go and add a kid from UCLA or a Pac-12 school right now.
Yeah,
right?
they're maxed out.
So
they're maxed out.
So they can't. No, nobody added. Willie Johnson, there he is. He's alive. Score prediction, 28-24. No, man. Come on, Willie. Bring in the heat. Bring in the heat with the dollars, with the predictions. You got one, Michael, before we sign off here?
I'm gonna let you do yours first.
I'll do that on the pod. I don't want to ruin your show. This is your show. I
don't know. I'd say probably, if I had to guess, I would kind of be similar to what Gene had, but I would say more like I'm gonna go just 28-20.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be. I think there's gonna be more fight, but I just don't think they have enough as far as consistency on offense to sustain that. I think some people have put in scores are just blowouts, and that could happen. They're just predictions. That's why people ask for them. But that's just me, 28-20 Miami. That's what I would go with.
We got another caller. I got to turn the phone line on. Hey, kid. Sorry. You've been hanging in there for a few minutes. Appreciate it. Who's this? Where are you calling us from? Welcome on into the WarChant.com Recruiting Calling Show.
Yeah, this is Travis Hill calling out of Charlotte.
Travis out of Charlotte, man. What's good in the Queen City?
Now, I had a question. It's about the running backs we already got on the roster, but I would really like to see Toa Philly because the other two running backs played Saturday. I don't think that's the answer. I'd like to see Toa Philly or play more. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I like him, Toa Philly. I know him really well. We one of the few we went to see on our spring tour that actually signed with FSU. So, but yeah, I agree with you that I would like to see more of him. He's more explosive. He seems to get off tackles better. He's got speed to the outside. I like what he does. We saw glimpses of him. He had one really good screen pass that they ran, and certainly got some big yards. So yeah, I'd like to see a lot more of him. I'm more sold on Corbin than I am. It's not against Lydian Webb. It's just like I question just the speed in general, if that's going to work right now early on. If it was me, I'd like to see more of Corbin and more Toafili. That's kind of my preference.
There we go. All right. Hey, Travis, appreciate the call, man. Was there anything else?
Yeah, we had a nice blitz pickup package on Saturday too. Saturday.
Try that one again. You sounded like a swarm of bees.
Just kind of breaking up.
I said he picked up the blitz pretty good against Georgia Tech too.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see if he plays.
They're going to empty it out, I think, Travis. Appreciate the call. Yeah, I mean, they're going to empty it out. It's a big game. They have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, man, no one's going to feel good if they lose to Miami, even though we're all bracing, I think, mostly for it to probably not work out. Mm-hmm. But I think maybe a week afterwards, if you do show fight, if you do keep it close, I mean, right now where you are, there's the sort of things you have to build off of. No one likes, moral victories before safety.
No, there's no moral victories, and the standard still stays the same, but you have to have growth. I mean, they started from the bottom. I hate to just call it like it is. They started from the bottom when Coach Norvell took over because they got set back several years just because of the previous staff, and it just didn't work. And so they're having to rebuild this back up. So you need to see growth. That's the main word I'm going to use consistently on the boards is growth. You need to see growth on the field. You need to see a better attitude. You need to see more production. We need to see better execution, mostly just on the plays that you should make. On catches, like the Tamari Terry, you got to make that play. I mean, that's a touchdown. You can't just throw that away. So plays that are there to be made, there needs to be more consistency of making those plays. And if there's growth, recruits will grab onto that. So that should get you excited if you see growth.
There we go. Recruit visits. If a recruit visits on his dime, is that okay, Michael?
Yeah, it's okay. It doesn't cost FSU anything. I mean, it's free, and these kids are visiting on their own. They can do that. It's not against the rules. If that's what he's asking, which I think he is as far as Douglas. But there's nothing against the rules that says you can't visit. Kids can visit, but they have to do everything on their own. They can't really go inside the facilities. They can't really do much of any of that stuff, but they can look around at all the different things at Tallahassee, different things with FSU from their outside view. I mean, I was up at FSU today, and I saw, practice inside the IPF. Of course, I didn't get too close. I didn't want to get kicked out, but you can definitely just see different little things here and there. But, yes, there's nothing against the rules that says a recruit can't visit on his own dime.
This is seriously the last phone call. Go ahead and take it. Smile, Aslan. Welcome on into the warchant.com recruiting call-in show. Michael Langston. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Marky. I'm calling in. I'm in Idaho.
Marky?
Murky with a U. Murky.
Murky in Idaho. Where in Idaho, man?
Genesee. It's like Tennessee, but with a G instead of a T.
Oh.
Feel like you have to say that a lot, man.
Yeah, I do. I just want to make sure you guys got your audios all good. I did a cold open earlier today, and the audio was no good, and I had to scrap it. I'm doing the cold open right now for the Not Even a show. We're in it right now, and I had a big one last week looking for back-to-back jacks.
What, man? This Como style? What?
What were you looking for?
For the Not Even a show, we're in it right now. You're a part of it. You're doing it. I just need you guys to say.
I don't know what happened there. What? You there, buddy? Murky from Genesee, Idaho. Where'd you go? We lost him.
I don't know. I don't know what that's about, but that was interesting. Never had that happen before.
Michael Carpenter asked, do I ever show Facebook posts? It seems too YouTube-centric. I do. We actually took a question from Ronnie earlier on Facebook. I just take the questions that are the best, man. I mean, no offense or anything, but yeah, I don't discriminate. Anywho, there we go. There you go. There's an Idaho caller. Boom. That's right, Michael Carpenter. You said it. You pointed it out. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out. Head over to the PRB over on warchant.com, your ultimate Seminoles sports source. The party's still going on. Michael will be taking your questions as he always does. Michael, this was fun, man. This was fun as always, man. Let's do it again sometime soon.
Yeah, 45 minutes. That's a little longer than we expected, but that's all good. Hey guys, thanks for the donations. Mean a lot. We appreciate that. Ray, Willie, if there's any other I missed, we really appreciate that stuff. I know you guys don't have to do that. That means a lot to us. Jump on over to the PRB. I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to throw some updates that I already covered early in this chat. So we'll throw in there. So come over there if you got a question. Ask it to me, and as we all get ready to, see what's going to happen, and at FSU in Miami, and see what team shows up.
There we go. That's right. For Michael and Mazal, thanks for watching, everybody. Again, head over to warchant.com. The Premium Recruiting Board party keeps going on over there.